ดีสมาชิก TSCN ทุ
Hello,
กๆ
the
ท่าน
members of TSCN and also entrepreneurs who joined our seminar
ชื่อว่า
today.
เมื่อ ESG ไม่ใช่ทางเลือกแต่เป็น
It is ESG is not an option but a mean to survive and thrive sustainably.
มาเป็นผู้ดำเนินการ
And there will be
หัวข้อได้บอกไปนะครับว่า
speakers.
สำคัญจริงนะครับเรื่องของ ESG
And ESG is really essential for today's operation because the business sectors started to integrate it into their operation in terms of sustainability's range from the business and our individual level and global scale. Today, we will get to know the definitions of ESG and its importance for the business and where do we start and the opportunity to integrate it into our work. And many of you may have a question as to how we can start with ESG because apart from just academic purpose, that is too stressful. Today, we have the real entrepreneur to learn about ESG to really adapt ESG to be helpful for the operations and keep up with the trends in the future. I believe that everyone joining us today will get a lot of helpful knowledge about ESG. We will have Kun Setha Thavisin, acting managing director of Pan International Thailand Limited, and also Kun Supakorn Ekachai Phaiboon, the first Deputy Vice President Sustainability Service Development, and Kun Nacha Lerthattasin, the co-founder and CEO of C Wallet for the organization for carbon, and also how to use the app is going to be really practical for the real life situation. And we will have Kun Setha Thavisin, Pan International to say hi to everyone, to the members who join our seminar today. Kun Setha, please come. Hello, all the executives and also the members of TSCN today. As a working team of Supply Chain Network Thailand, I would like to say thank you to everyone for your time to join us today. Under the ESG is not an option, but a mean to survive and thrive sustainably topic. For today, this is the third event in this year that we have organized so far, mainly in order to develop sustainably or ESG. This is a very important agenda globally and international scale that everyone have to cooperate in order to hit the same goal. In the TSCN perspective, we find a way to mitigate the impact throughout the supply chain. And keyword for today is net zero. That is coming to Thailand. So in order to cooperate with your partner and also other stakeholders, it's very important to create a network to achieve the goal and drive the collaboration and exchange knowledge within the network. Today, this is a good opportunity for all of us in the business sector to learn and also get better understanding about ESG as to how it's important to us and how to adapt and survive and thrive even in order to mitigate the impact to the environment, social, and nature. And we will have very distinguished guest speaker. You can send your questions to us and the speakers in the chat box below so that we can learn together today. And if we have any inconvenience today caused, we would like to say sorry in advance. Hope you understand. Thank you, Kun Setha Thavisin, for your introduction and also your thoughts on this. I think we will get the tremendous benefit from this. And in the first session, from Kun Supakorn Ekachai Phaiboon from the Stock Exchange of Thailand, and then we'll speak about how to think business sustainably in terms of ESG perspective. so that you get better understanding and bigger picture for ESG. And it may feel far-fetched, but in terms of corporate, how can we integrate it to the business in real life? And after that, we will have Q&A session. And this is a rare case that we can talk to the staff from SET or Stock Exchange Thailand. If you are comfortable, you can talk through microphone and turn on your camera. And then, but if you have questions and don't want to show your face, you can text down below in the chat box, and we'll gather the similar questions for you. And then the next session will be Khun Natcha Lerthatsasin, the co-founder and CEO of the C Wallet platform. Then she will show us the hands-on experience of the application. And afterward, importantly, if you want to listen to this seminar in English, you can look at the screen of Zoom application. There will be the globe icon interpretation mode for English interpretation for this seminar. And click on English if you would like to listen to English version. Without further ado, we would like to invite the first guest speaker on the very important subject that the SET really place importance on to drive the entrepreneurs to drive the startups or SME to put importance on ESG. If we look at the big picture of the sustainable business development, look no further, Khun Supakorn Ekachai Phaiboon, the first Deputy Vice President, Sustainability Service Development of the Stock Exchange of Thailand, or SET, is ready to talk to you. Thank you very much, Khun Tak, and also hello everyone here again. I am very honored to be here to share with you the experiences and some examples of business operation that revolve the ESG, and we will talk about the paradigm shift about sustainability development that only focuses on big organization only in the past. And today we will show the case study to you as well that the SME or startups case study as well, and I will show you today.
ครับทุกท่านเห็นหน้าจอนะครับ
Alright, can everyone see the screen?
โอเคพี่ตั๊กเห็นหน้าจอไหมครับ
เห็นแล้วครับ
โอเคครับขอบคุณมากครับก็ก่อนอื่นเลยว่า
Thank you. Before
มาเล่าแล้วกัน
we start, I'd like to share, and it would be even more fun if after this session everyone have a question. Because we cannot cover sustainability in all aspects just in today, because we have very big scope that is in the past, the paradigm or the way of thinking of the entrepreneurs in the past might be that the sustainability topic or ESG is about only CSR, corporate social responsibility, and separate them from the profitability. But today we have the ESG aspects that are very well interwoven, cannot be separated. Right now the slide is in dual mode. Can you do the slide view mode in order to see it in full screen? I believe that entrepreneurs and everyone may want to see the full screen better. We have many apart from just member of TSCN, we have the entrepreneurs outside who registered for today as well. Okay, it's in full screen. Please go on.
ครับโอเคครับขอบคุณครับ
Thank you very much.
เมื่อกี้ต่อนะครับที่เรียนให้ทราบว่าสรุป เรื่อง ESG กับเรื่อง
ESG and sustainability matters that I'm gonna talk about today is not only about
ทำความดีเท่านั้นไม่ใช่เรื่องของ
CSR
ปลูกป่า
or reforestation
ว่าเนี่ย
or
ของความยั่งยืนแล้วนะครับ
or anything that is
ว่า
uh
ที่คิดอย่างยั่งยืนเนี่ยเขามองยังไง
because sustainability for business
ครับว่ามุมมองในปัจจุบันที่แตกต่างออกไป
currently something has shifted because now it is people centric. The shift in nature made people realize many new things, and when people learn new things, it changed in a societal scale and behavioral shift in consumer behavior, and also entrepreneurs saw opportunities when the consumer behavior shifts, and the entrepreneurs started to develop the products and service accordingly in order to respond to the ever-changing consumer behavior and needs. I talk about the shift because I would like to call it to minimize the world, both the social and environmental and managerial view. Everything is like becoming in a nutshell. The sustainability used to be defined as something very non-concrete, just an idea. Actually, sustainability mainly means you can live forever, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't change. If you see from this picture, you can see that in the 90s, I believe everyone lived through the gadgets shown on the left-hand side. We all have seen and used these devices and gadgets, and everything now becoming only one device only. This is the learning from the consumer and both producers, manufacturers. Phone is still a phone, but function and appearance changed. It means that sustainability, whatever it is that leads to change externally, but the core and the purpose remain the same. It means that when we are doing business, we have a purpose to drive our business. The name, the title remain the same in the 100 year to go, but the core remain the same. But how we do it and how we commercialize it, whatever it is that can drive the business in the next 100 years may change. So this is like the signal and also warning sign for the business sector that if you don't adapt, you may die down. And everything is becoming smaller and smaller. Today, factors mentioned haven't changed only in economic or industrial sectors. When people do business, it according to the need of the society and the consumer behavior. If we don't change and use the same thing, we wouldn't be here today. Everything is changing in every second. Today, the world is getting smaller. In the future, it may not be only smaller, but also is driven by something that is non-human. You can already see today as we leverage the technology and use the resources less and less. Why? Because the modern day consumers can get familiar with a more efficient products and way of life. We cannot just learn from the past. We also have to look into the future and predict the trend, not only in industries but also in the risk and the change to come and environment factor. Today it is very important. for resources and energy and with climate change. These all impact supply chain from upstream raw materials to downstream, and I will look into it and I will give more definitions to it later and elaborate later. And the regulations and the needs of the customers. These data is very overwhelming, but we can just extract into two last part, and I will summarize at the end for you. In society, in a social and environmental matter, I'll summarize later. Let's move on to the next slide. For the entrepreneur who used to think that sustainability or ESG is just another function of business operation, I would like to say that the foundation of ESG actually is not different from any business as usual operation. Otherwise, it is actually the core. Without it, we will have a loophole and we will have less immunity when encountering the shift in the society. Who knows, like the EV car will leapfrog like this. Last year, I listened to the entrepreneurs in the in petrol industry and touch point stations. They mentioned that they haven't tap into EV because we have a few players, a limiting players. But if you look at the Motor Show Expo, you see the EV demand because you will see opportunity for business. But today, everything changed swiftly. We almost everything is leapfrogging, and EV cars was estimated that will grow yearly 30%, and in 2025, 50% of the car on the street will be EV car. Today, consumer behavior shifts swiftly, and in tandem with other factors that contributed to the factor determining the decision making, whether it be the cost of the energies that jumped and soaring, and we feel we have to change something, and first of all to maintain our life conveniently as usual, whereas the car EV market reduce the price. So societal factor, you don't have to think about the outskirt communities. Social society doesn't cover only that. Society can mean our employees, our partners, our stakeholders, or suppliers. These also are considered society. If we can strengthen our internal society and make them grow together with us, I'm certain that we can close the gap and bridge the gap in terms of the risk. And in the environmental factor, to reforest and make the wares is not wrong. This is the contribution to the environment, but this is just an extracurricular lesson. But when you look at the process, it is not just about investment. To think in the environmental process in business, this is how we can make utilize and maximize energy and reduce the consumption. If we if we hit the ceiling of the volume of manufacturing, today the environment law in our country, you may be impacted, but many of you the impact still low. The environment law is going to get more stringent year after year. After the Climate Change Act is promulgated, everyone will know the carbon tax. If you're not adapting or learn about it today, in the future, it's gonna become one of your costs. In the economic factor, I would not tap on it because you are all good at this because you strive in the industry because you're good at this. In these three factors, it will become successful sustainably. You have to keep adapting. You cannot think the same way every day. You need innovations to adapt. The big fish eats small fish because innovation is more resilient there and more powerful. And these innovations are not just changing consumer behavior, but also change the scenarios of business operations and landscape by far. In past 5 years, the startup lines swiftly growing. And Kunet, we also mentioned that Kunet is one of the startups regarding ESG matter. She grew in the industry as well because business industry has to rely on the startups with high innovation to reduce the cost in operation. As mentioned earlier, these are both risks and opportunities factors. Being both, in our business operation, we have to look at these factors from upstream to downstream activities and what are those things that we have to concern and what are things that we have to really understand that if we're not going to change today, it's going to change us. And also back to the management in our organization. Also, the governance, good governance, you have executives, you need directors. These people are like a spearhead and to steer steering committee. And you see on the headlines of the news that when the business that has an issue or conflict, those are almost all the time came from people. So if you have good governance structure and full of transparency and integrity, your business will surefire have is a surefire way that you will have visions, good visions. With a vision and also purpose or the core of the organization that I mentioned early on. And these are the things that drive the core of the organization for 100 more years. This is one of the pages that I'm trying to say that ESG is the core of the business, not just a different part. It is embedded in the business or purpose. We used to only focus on how good we are at numbers and generating profitability to show that we have stability. But today, I believe that COVID scenario disrupted all the paradigm and shift everything, and everything get disrupted if you don't have good immunity. Good immunity sometimes doesn't come from monetary factor, but from the trust and confidence and cooperation of people and in the organizations and stakeholders. I know that you are supply chain in many business that is strengthened and weather the storm in COVID-19 era together. Without this foundation, business wouldn't thrive. Not only in money term, but we also talk about non-financial information value that is even more valuable than money and unlimited and wealth and value that come back to money. It's like insurance. We may have to invest in insurance, but sometimes the return is more than just money or indemnity, but we can survive longer in products and services with quality and respond to the need of the customers. Our brands create strength to our business. Normally, business that have brands and innovations that are strong enough can stay really long time.
แบรนด์และนวัตกรรมพวกเนี้ยครับ
Brand and innovations like this
เราหยุดทำ
cannot
R&D
stop.
แล้ว
We can,
เรา
if you
เสีย
stop
ความสามารถ
R&D,
ในการ
you stop
ถาม
the
ว่านวัตกรรมคืออะไร
ability to
เกิดจาก
compete.
culture ครับเกิดจากการที่พนักงาน
Innovations come from the cultures in the
เป็น
organization.
ผู้ประกอบการเองเนี่ย
As an entrepreneur, we have to support the culture for innovations seeking.
ทำไมหลายๆธุรกิจ
I used to think why
ถึง
SME business
center
create incubator center
ศูนย์การเรียนรู้
or
พนักงาน
learning center for their employees and what are the returns evaluation. They look at it this way. In many business that rely on skills of their employees, machines cannot replace it. And the best asset valuable as gold are man power. If we cannot retain our employees, is also a risk. So in order to increase the capability of the employee, you have to engage them as well. And the customer satisfaction, this is very obvious. If they don't like us, they don't buy from us, and they're not gonna trade with us. As I mentioned, many things driven by change. Technology doesn't have to be technology. It can be
อะไรที่มันเป็นสิ่งของจับต้องได้แต่มันอาจจะเป็น
tangible things. It could be intellectual property or properties
ซึ่งทุก
policy.
สามารถจะเอาประเด็นที่เป็นเรื่องของ impact ที่
The impact
ประเด็นด้านสังคม
from the social impact and environment
เซสชั่นต่อไปคุณแนทก็เอาประเด็นด้านสิ่งแวดล้อมเนี่ย
in the next session as well. Kunat also use the environment matter to become the core to find solution and become business model to add on the solution for to create value for the customers. This is one of the important use cases.
การค้าขายหรือว่า
Today, business operation,
ขายแค่สินค้าและบริการอย่างเดียวเนี่ยมันไม่เพียง
we cannot sell only goods and services.
มันไม่เพียงพอจนกระทั่ง
It's not enough anymore.
แค่สินค้าและบริการ
If we sell only products and services, we have so many competitors.
ตัวเลือกของ
With the crowded market,
สูญเสียความสามารถในการ
we can lose capability to compete.
เนี่ยตัวอย่างของธุรกิจหนึ่งที่ต่อ
Today, one of the example of business
บริษัทนี้ดีไหมเพราะว่า
I wasn't
แต่ผมคิดว่า
is a big company. I wasn't sure if I should share about this at first because it's in our everyday life when we wake up. Maybe the first thing for someone to do, like Starbucks brand. Before we move on to Starbucks, sorry, Kun Yot again. We have a chat. Can you turn off the? Okay. Okay, turn off the text, the automated text generator. Okay. So it means that everyone is very concentrated that they see the running text. Now Kun Yot is right now trying to fix the chat text generator. We will talk about the case study of Starbucks after we fix this. Is it all right? Okay. Okay, I think okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for your kind cooperation. Okay. Sorry for that again. I didn't see this directly. Okay, I'll talk about Starbucks case. I would like to talk about Starbucks case because I'm also one of their fans, and I believe that many of you drink coffee and for me I can't drink Starbucks every day. It's gonna be too expensive. But why people are addicted to their brand? They're not just selling their coffee. They have been around really long, not just from their coffee for sure. Nowadays, Starbucks brands, wherever it is on, it create value for the products. And the sales of the Starbucks tumbler and their bags may be at par with their sales of coffee. And everything is premium when they co-brand and network and partner with other brand, it's gonna be like but more than service is product, they sell experience, selling that brand to people and attract them to use their brand, make them feel that the premium feeling and respond to the need of modern day people. And those who can access Starbucks brands deem in the top higher tier income group. And people who are addicted to coffee have to drink every day. But I drink Starbucks. I buy Starbucks. Someday I buy cheaper alternatives. But whenever I go to the touch point of Starbucks, more than just buying coffee, we will also look at their other products and also with the stories behind the coffee beans. So it's safe to say that they are selling experience. Further than just business operation, they add value in environmental and societal aspects. Like for example, the latest one is Muan Chai blend. They partner up with agriculturalists in the northern in several parts in Thailand, and they have a backstory to tell us about how that help the society generate revenue and the materials and the decoration, the interior from the recycled materials. They tell us the story further than just like they give us a signboard to give us stories of each recycled furniture pieces. This is not the brand that sell experience, and they have been and they're gonna be here in a long time as well, not gonna be disrupted. The key player that's been growing now coffee shops tend to sell experience as well, but Starbucks is still a very mass brand that is accessible to the top tier income customers. So this is one of their strategies. So environment and sustainability is not just about spending something a budget and then donate them away, but how to make the business win and win-win situation. It's not just about business operation as usual. This is from the small parts of business as usual and then make it and design it to create impact on environment and society. This is another issue that I would like to tap into. It's a very interesting story from Starbucks. Before we move on to another topic, how can we start with action in our organization? How can we start? I'll go very quickly here and I will stop at this case study. I will give you case studies as
หลักการด้านความยั่ง
is
ยืน
better than just principle
นะครับ
because we have so many principles for ESG. There are so many frameworks, but if you cannot integrate it into our, it's gonna be the roadblock,
ในตลาดหลักทรัพย์
especially small business in the stock exchange.
ประมาณ200จนถึง
Around 200 to 300 companies in the listed SME.
วันเนี้ยเขาอยู่ใน value chain
Now they're in value chain of big companies.
ถ้าเขาไม่ปรับตัวนะครับ
If they don't adapt,
เทียร์ลงมาทันทีเลยจากเดิม
they will
เทียร์
be
อย่างเงี้ยครับ
down, a step down from the tiers,
ลูกค้าเองเขาก็ถูกบีบบังคับ
the higher rank,
ถูกบีบบังคับ
and the customers also pressure them to
นะครับว่า
sourcing, do the sourcing with eco-friendly materials.
นะครับ
If they don't comply, they cannot go on with their business.
จุดเริ่มต้นของการ
So
ความยั่งยืนผมพูดไป
to start with the sustainability in your organization, it starts with your characters
พฤติกรรม
and behaviors.
พฤติกรรมอาจจะเป็น
Doesn't have to be persons. It can be business entity, whether it be integrity, transparency, responsibility, accountability, which is different. Responsibility has to do with
ชอบอย่างเดียวนะครับมี
only
ความรับผิดชอบต่อคนนั้นคนนี้นะครับ
respond to
ได้เสียของเราใน
stakeholders in several groups,
ความรับผิดชอบต่อสิ่งแวดล้อมนะครับแต่
and
มันหมายถึงสิ่ง
but
ที่เราต้อง
accountability means things that you need to do. Accountability to law, law abiding.
นี่คือความแตกต่างกันนะครับ
These are the differences.
จะบอกว่าหลายๆ
And I like to say that many organizations
จะเป็น
that
ก็คือ
are deadwood
เรื่อง accountability ไป
on accountability.
ข้ามช็อต
Sometimes we skip it to
สวยหรูคือไปทำกิจกรรม
image,
สังคม
a CSR,
ภายในไส้ในเราไม่มี
but
accountability
we don't have accountability and don't have transparency, don't have fairness with stakeholders. At the end of the day, your business wouldn't survive, especially in corruption matter. Corruption is very challenging in every size business, in capital market or outside capital market.
ถ้าเราไม่ทำไปพร้อมๆกันสุดท้าย
If we don't do this,
ต้องบอกว่ามันไม่ใช่แค่
it's not just your business that cannot survive. The economic
นะครับ
structure will also collapse.
ผู้บริหารนะ
Today, when we meet with executives in the stock exchange, especially the executive in those big companies, we forecast
อะไรที่เป็นเรื่องที่ท้าทาย
the challenging trend
และสังคมมากที่สุด
in sustainability matter
ด้วยจบด้วยคำนี้
in
คือเรื่องของ
economic and society.
ที่เป็น
It all boils down to corruption.
ก็เป็นประเด็น
Very challenging and sustainability in every matter that
ใน5
in the three branches,
ทำได้เนี่ยคุณจะ beyond ไปกว่าคำว่า corruption อีกเพราะว่าคุณจะเป็น
if you can do it, you will be an angelic organization. So if you have system and measures to combat corruption, you will be really strong and resilient as an organization, and it will become top-down policy and culture. If anyone breach it, it's not just penalty, but it will also be social sanction and shame. In many business, they already start with this idea, and this issue already make many organization collapse. Like in the Asian financial crisis in 1997, many companies that registered in stock exchange, they have to have the audit committee because this would be the policy that to add on in sustainability for every business, not just by saying we are gonna do sustainability thing. If you have a good foundation in all activity for your organization, from upstream activity, sourcing materials, or operation or manufacturing, transportation, distribution, marketing, sales, and also service. These all have impact on economy, society, and environment. Because resources and energies are cost. If we can manage efficiently, our cost will reduce, will be lower. If we don't breach the environment issue or have a conflict in resource intensity, you cannot look over this. Only coral or the reforestation will not be enough if we don't keep up with it, and it doesn't help with successful environment factor, and it even have create more burdens to the community surrounding those forests, or they have to take care of it after you left. So today, environment matters. You have to start with conservation in your own organization. If you can do it, can manage it, the resources internally, it's gonna be a very is the most simple way to start. And in manufacturing and after you sourcing, everyone here is the upstream and also downstream as a consumer as well. So you can choose. And today, many businesses from consumer behaviors individually and to the bigger ones, they started to pick wisely. Does your business violate environmental matters, or do you have any labor issues? Only two factors. This can make your business fragile. The service after sales, you also have to consider, because this is also in your cost. If there is any conflict, these issues lead to cost of your business, and you have to clean up after it. And reputation that is invaluable and will also bite you, or the leakage of oil after like they can gain back the trust. It's gonna be really time consuming. Any question? Okay. Like even big organization also get disrupted. If you don't do this, it's gonna be really risky in the future. As I said, the value chain sometimes is, you can just think within the process. For example, dairy home. Many of you may have known dairy home, and you may even have consumed it before. Their dairy products, and also they have restaurants. They operate with low input. From upstream, they tell the agriculturalists that they have to create the environment for the milk cow in the environment that the cows are happy. These cows will consume less grass because they are not stressed out, and they will generate quality liquid milk. So the living condition of cows are really important here. If they're happy, they eat less, but getting stronger and the cost will get lowered. And also cattle disease decrease, and dairy home also pay for agriculturalists more than other cooperatives by 30% and for their products. But in comparison to in terms of quality, they get the better quality products, and they pass on to the small B2B and consumers and business to business, and also export in the higher price. This story becomes the story that create trust with a low input economic will become the model for dairy farm for cows in this region. It's not just about telling the agriculturalists to do, but you can evaluate the input that and have output and services that increase significantly, and they have loyal customers even with a higher price but reasonable quality, and they are entrusted with a better quality product. So the traceability to products and also the stories of the products like this can be explained. Their price can be explained by the traceability and the transparency of the product. This is the value chain management for sustainability. You don't have to look further. And from these case studies, in order to start with your action, you have to see the benefits. And you can get to the point, whether it be the cost. Like if you use lower resources, the cost will lower accordingly. But this is not an excuse to save the material, be stingy. It's not an excuse to be stingy. Because like some producer wouldn't give out free charger head because they want to save the earth or reduce the resource consumption. But at the end of the day, the customer has to buy it anyway. It means that you burden the customer with these things. This is not a good perception for consumer ends. So in order to manage the cost, you have to do it under the reasonable process that doesn't affect the customer satisfaction. This is the right way and useless to create more. I would like to say that today, if you follow the news about EV cars, back then the pieces in the combustion car, we have so many parts, like 10,000 parts. EV minimize to just 1,000 pieces. What does it mean? It means that the entrepreneur who are not adjusting and sell the same old things, the supply chain of EV will impact from upstream to downstream. Which means that the cost of EV cars reduce, but the cost of the non-EV car who don't adapt will, and to the combustion car with the same or higher cost to stay, they're not gonna survive anyway. So today, if you look at the cost and how you use the resources, you can help the world. And next is the risk management. Today, climate change is an important factor. Why? Because today we rely heavily on weather to manage our raw materials. If we have to still rely on raw weather and it keep changing, we cannot set a plan, and it will create lag and in the raw material. So today, it's not just about revive the forest, but it's about how can you manage the raw materials from climate change and how to cope to combat and mitigate the impact. This is the climate impact with the business operation. Brand, we are very clear. Starbucks is a brand that sustainability and Starbucks go hands in hand because product and service next box issue in social issues, especially for example aging society. Today is a good opportunity for food manufacturers and commodity products to think and find solutions to cater to the needs of aging society to maximize the quality of life. We have to really start thinking about it. We have to invest, not a cost. But if you started to invest and create value, it should be invested. The donation is a cost, no return, but investment has return always. So between donation, if we can create partnership and networking, you should do donation, but appropriately. Not only to just donate to Tempo 1 million baht and evaluate SROI, social return on investment. It means that social return on investment, whatever we needs return on business and society. So if it doesn't answer to this, it's gonna be donation. So you have to be careful on that. Employees, value assets of all businesses, I would say. If you can keep high skill employees, as many as possible, the more opportunity for your organization to grow. And the most importantly, in the stock exchange market, sustainability cost per investment will be lower. Why? Because they look at it in sustainability view to bridge the gap of business, both in risk and in environment, society, and economy, and increase the quality of the business. And the trend is that they're gonna stay for a long time, especially institute, investor, and financial institution like or pension fund or security fund, and they will have really clear policies in the stock which has ESG, not only because it helps the world, but also the management of their portfolio to create the high security. Like the financial institutions, when they issue a loan or bond or debentures, they will give loans to business model with sustainability, high sustainability, and they will have criteria evaluable. And nowadays, non-finance data about sustainability that can evaluate. Today, we can evaluate. It's not just like finance, but what about non-finance? Compared to health for people, we can see the health status and sustainability for finance. We can see from the consumer of the organization compared to health of human. It's like, do we sleep better, or we eat better nutritious food, or if it's regarding sustainability, do we use more electricity compared to revenue that we have each year? and it will reflect the efficiency or the quality of resource. Do we create more waste in product per unit? This could be evaluated. What if it cannot be evaluated? Investor wouldn't use your data. So we have to declare your data as well in order to reach the better capital resources, which will let in the income stream to drive your market value. I would like to give another SME company, เจริญชัย electric transformer. Is not in the stock exchange market, but it's a medium sized, but not as big as in the stock market. I'm not sure if they want the capital venture, because they are very strong financially to a certain point. So their principle in operation is that they're doing sustainability by product. Their goal is really clear because they want to build a smart city, and renewable energy will be a driver of their business, and they see that opportunity because their core business is electric transformers. They're trying to seek innovations to align with the environment and also the geo economy, whether it be the submersible transformer, because they're not trying to make it very, because the policy of the government say that they want to put it under the ground in the long run. So they are trying to get ready for it to make the road clean and better to look at. So the company who manufacture the transformer, they're trying to cater to the needs and change the product to be more user friendly and and also compatible with the landscape of the customers and look into the future. In order to look even further, they look to at their employees. These employees will be innovator to create innovations. So they create learning center to incubate idea, new way of work, like the Kaizen idea, or some good companies probably invest in the innovation award in order to implement their award from the who won the award. Butเจริญชัย, they create a learning center and create research and development by their employees. This is one of the good examples to show you that actually everything is in your business operation. You can start with the product. You don't have to start with the manufacturing process or design. But if you start with product is already downstream. So you have to think from the upstream sourcing, raw materials, and the design of manufacturing process. The ESG can be embedded in each and every processes. This is a very small SME brand, but very interesting because they use technology in business model. This is a food platform that is really clear that they want to be fresh market online. Anyone can buy agricultural product 24/7 and can access the agricultural risk without middleman and can get money fully without middleman part, and they have minimal fees, just enough to manage their online platform. But the revenue from mainly come from it's called ปิ่นโตทางเลือก or Tiffin box
นะครับ
for
ผู้สูงอายุ
elders and for
มันจะต้องออร์แกนิกมันจะต้อง
patients.
เมนูอาหาร
So it has to be more organic and clean and suitable for patients or elderly people.
เขา sourcing จาก
And they're sourcing from
ได้ในราคา
fresh market pool with a lower price.
หนึ่งในการทำธุรกิจที่
This is one of the business models
แบบเดิม
that
ๆเป็นต้องมีหน้า
is
ธุรกิจ
groundbreaking.
ก็คือเรื่องของตัว green catering ของเขา
Next is green catering, zero waste oriented.
อาหารของเขาจะมีคุณภาพและอร่อย
Not just quality of food and taste, it shouldn't create waste from management process in their catering.
รู้สึกจะยังมีช้อนอยู่เนาะที่ยังไง
But one of the
ถ้าเขาบอกแล้วว่า
one of the waste would come from the utensils like spoon. But in the future, they are trying to make it zero waste for real.
ก็เป็นอีกแนวคิดหนึ่งของ
This is one of the idea of the entrepreneurs
ไม่ได้จำเป็น
who
ไปลงทุน
doesn't limit in just investment
เหนือจาก
in anything that
เขาจริงๆเขาแค่
that is far from their business model. They just do the catering, food catering, and that's all.
คิดอะไรมากหรอกก็ขอให้
And
นะครับ
they wouldn't be expected of much. People may just want food to be tasteful and also convenient with spoon and fork, but now they add value in zero waste experience.
วิธีคิดที่
So this is one of the thinking way to create selling point.
ทำเรื่องกิน
In many green catering, entrepreneurs also do this.
แล้วก็มีอีกหนึ่งกรณีศึกษา
Another case study that I would like to
แต่ว่าเนื่องจากเวลา
show you, but because we have limit time, I would like to show quickly in video and I'll wrap up.
And I grew up among these rubber trees forests. I was very attracted by this wonderful nature and also all that man can do with it. When I went to Bangkok to study architecture, I met at university friends who wanted like me to contribute to build a better and more sustainable world. We have partnered with 7 friends to create a plant group, and shortly after Plant Toys. Plant Group is now one of the respected architectural firms. It is also a publishing house, graphic design studio, libraries, and schools. For over 30 years, Plant Toys design and manufactures toys in the utmost respect of children and nature. We create toys from our design office in Bangkok with education and design specialists. Our toys are made in our factory in Trang. The trunk and the base parts are used for solid wood and plywood toys. Branches and other waste are shredded and transformed in plant wood. Plant wood is very strong. It allows us to design very interesting and new forms, non-toxic and durable toys. Nothing is wasted. Everything is transformed. Roots and other wood pieces that cannot be used are converted to energy in our new factory. Every year, 10,000 of children visit our factory. We teach them that they can be the architect of a better world. Let the kid for a better world. That is our sustainable way.
ครับ ก็ตัวอย่างของ Plant
And
Toy
the example of Plant Toy,
small business
this is a small business that
ผมอยากจะบอกว่าผมประทับใจมาก
I am very impressed
ที่เสนอในทุก
and very proud to show in all stages that I get to talk, because today small business
ในเรื่อง sustainability อะ
think sustainability from upstream.
นำ
whether it be the imported the plant, and when they create the toys, they will use the byproduct and the waste. Every gram of the waste they return to create a new product, and upcycling to the product, and they're very careful because their product is touched with small kids, young kids. So in every process, they think of the consumer and think of the kids and have to add value to the development of the children as well. And this also respond to society and environment. So you don't have to look further. You can just improve within your process for a greater good. And for the companies interested in the evaluation of your business, if it's sustainable or not. Stock Exchange Market of Thailand have fundamental ESG health check for the business that start to take action in ESG development in their organization. They will have a checklist and have a dashboard at the end to show to report you the result compared to the tier or the business and where you are at, and you get ranked in the progress on ESG matter and where you can have room for improvement. We have collaborated with UNDP and published the first time last year. This is fairly new, and I think it's going to be really helpful to all of you, especially SME who start to take part in this matter. And last but not least, one thing that I would like to tap into in the next 3 to 5 years in ESG trends and society, I would like to talk about 5 important things. If you don't adjust, you will be disrupted. First is the change in the economic power. The big powers in the world change, unlike in the past. So one thing you have to do is to analyze the risk assessment in the industry. You have to look at the supply chain for the big power, which is if they're your upstream or not. This is the economic impact that you have to consider. Next is the climate change. This impact the manufacturing factor, especially food. I believe many of you here have food sourcing or provider for many company. We are all impacted by the change of climate and other crises to come, especially natural, like just the water level, sea level, not only with impact with food, but I used to talk to the company about real estate or developers. They also mentioned that they should be aware of sea level change, because this is one of the indicator of their new startup of their project. So it's not just climate change, global warming, but it's also change of structure of the resources and energies, which is the issue in the talk. Next is the technology, because it changed the consumer behavior. In the past, we have limited data to make decision on whether to choose option 1 or 2. We just depend on our feeling on packaging and what does it feel to have the product, and if we want to consume the product or not. But nowadays, people look over packaging, but they start to look inside and they want to trace back to the resource, and technology comes into play because they give out those information to consumers. There are pros and cons to it, but you should be aware of this matter, because today mobile phones disrupt the business operations. So every transaction or online trading, everything is very fast right now and even bigger than physical markets. You have to look into consumer behavior in online platform, how it's gonna impact the quality of life or your business operations. Next is the change in society and quality of life. We are gonna have overpopulation with aging societies. Of course, the consumer behaviors gonna change accordingly. Everything can impact the consumer. The consumer become older, and many elderly now started to use online shopping. So we have to start to think of the platform of your product in the alternative platform. Next is the overpopulate in city, urban areas, and it leads to the relocation of manpower and labor. When the city when you expand your business, the business cap will increase. So when the city urban area increase, we started to see the decentralization of the urban area. If you're not aware of this, and the obstacle of the cost of your business expansions, and it would pressure you in the future as well. The red codes bring opportunity and risk at the same time. The risk, especially for big organizations, are on business, technology, management, and finance. The type of risks are quite certain. But how can you use solution to bridge the gap from ESG to create opportunity and mitigate the risk, and also create of immunity? You can follow on the page shown on the screen. In the 3 to 5 years, the regulations in ESG will be reformed, and it started to show you the process with an incentive of whether it be tax policy or penalties that become more and if you don't adapt, and carbon is we have global trading barrier. Many company export product and services to the trade partners overseas. I believe everyone are impacted and started to see it, and it's getting more severe in the future. So today, ESG trends, especially in society and environment, there are two things. The first thing is the change in climate. Globally, we are trying to use mechanism and business model and regulations to control the organizations to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions and reduce the world temperature to be less than 2 degrees Celsius increase. This is the commitment that everyone has to face with. The first is the climate change that you have to look further. Next, human rights. Nowadays, many businesses try to test the water when they see the reduce the tier of when we violate something and it impact the creditability. It doesn't it impact the creditability of Thai market. Human rights doesn't just it's not just about the lawful labor, but it's also about stakeholder well-being from upstream to downstream, whether it be trade partners, about safety, not just regarding the safety of our employees within our organization, because the environment, not just employees on site, but also trade partners have to be protected to work safely when they enter our territory. It's our this is also human rights aspect that we should be aware of. And next is quality of life. I already mentioned the safety, but from product and service safety, we may not see the impact much. We didn't learn about it much. But entrepreneurs, especially food or agricultural product, the food safety becomes top priority. WHO and World Food Organization also place more importance on sustainable sourcing matters, as well as zero waste. Sustainable packaging started to play a vital role in eco-friendly consumption. These are related to consumer behavior directly and goes hand in hand with human rights. These are important aspects that you have to focus. First, human rights, and second, climate change. I would like to conclude with a very important and interesting case study about benefit from stakeholders. Hillcoff is coffee product producer from upstream to downstream in sustainable business model in deforestation-free products. And they thought about it even before they export their coffee beans, because there is sanction in entrepreneurs in coffee bean manufacturers in the deforestation area. And in order to preserve from upstream to downstream, this is an important checklist that the end customers, whether it be B2B or B2C, started to consider. Until the law started to adjust, and if we don't adapt accordingly, we are gonna lose our compatibility, because it takes time to adjust, and if you start slow, it's gonna be higher cost, it'll be too costly for you. So Hillcoff started early on when they started business due diligence with the agriculturalists, and they start see from the areas that they sourcing the coffee bean without conflicts on deforestation matter, and they also consider the process in management that it has to be zero waste, and all the materials utilized in the manufacturing, it has to be value added in the service or products they carry out, and also food as superfood to respond to the healthier choice alternatives, and also value for business, and also these things
ครับแล้วที่สำคัญคือเวลา
And most importantly,
สินเชื่อพวกเนี้ยนะครับ
when they're getting access to these loans, it's very easy for them because all the checklists that they provide,
ให้เขาสามารถเข้าถึงสิน
it gives them opportunity to access the green loan.
ไปเอามาจาก
And Hugh Cop, I got from
นะ
the
ยกตัวอย่างของ SME
Bangkok Bank SME case study that use their
ธนาคาร
green loan, eco-friendly
วันนี้
loan.
นะครับว่าวันนี้เนี่ยที่ผมพูดตั้งแต่แรกว่า
Today,
การทำเรื่อง
since the very beginning,
ถึงแหล่งทุนที่ง่าย
this
ขึ้น
helps you
มาก
get
มาย
better access, better quality
แต่เป็น
loan,
การให้สินเชื่อนะครับ
and
หาจุดที่จะมา
also find
ในรูปแบบ
ways with
นะครับ
joint of a capital venture.
ทำเถอะครับเตรียมความ
So
พร้อมในวันนี้นะครับ
it is very encouraged for you to start with ESG. This is not just another function
ไม่ใช่แค่เรื่อง
of or cost
การทำได้เฉพาะ
or
ขนาดใหญ่โต
only for big
จะต้องใช้เงินลงทุนเยอะ
company with high investment. Sometimes you can just think outside of the box and change day-to-day operation to become greener, and it creates sustainability in the long term for your company. This is what the stock exchange want to tell you today, and we tell all the entrepreneurs in the capital market when we look at the we didn't look at the
มันเป็นภาระถ้าเกิดยิ่งเป็นบริษัทจดทะเบียนเนี่ยครับ
burden of the companies, especially listed company.
ยังไม่ได้พูดถึงพาร์ทเรื่องเดท
We haven't touched on the part of
นะครับซึ่งเดี๋ยวเข้าใจว่า
data, and it's gonna be very important.
สักครู่นะครับสัญญาณอินเทอร์เน็ต
The internet connection is unstable on the speaker's end.
นะฮะก็มาเข้าสู่ช่วงโค้งสุดท้าย
And we are now in the home
ข้อมูลโดยทางคุณยศนะครับ
okay, Kun Yos is coming. Is coming back.
ทางคุณยศนะครับก็ถือว่าได้เห็นภาพรวมมาแล้วนะครับสิ่งที่พูดกันมา
We see the overview of the idea of ESG. I believe everyone is we get the definition of the ESG and start to see the case studies in the global scale and also the SME or the big scale, and the idea of ESG in the business sector. And when the internet connection of Kun Yot come back, we will have a Q&A session. If you have if Kun Yot coming back in the home stretch session, we will how can we integrate, because he is with the stock exchange and have seen many major businesses and also the SME or the national level of and many integration of and success story. So many of you may have questions, especially SME companies. At the end of the session, we will you can have Q&A with Kun Yot. Right now, many of you may now the connection is back. A host will okay, if anyone has a question, you can leave your question down below in the chat box. Already can we will have the slide for today for you to download in the TSCN website, and you can ask with your microphone, or you can leave your question down below. Kun Yot is back with us. Kun Yot, do you want to say? So actually it ends. The connection was disconnected when I finished already. We started to get a question.
เดี๋ยวนายังฝากคำถามได้เรื่อยๆเลยนะฮะคำถามแรกนะครับถามว่า
First question,
เป็น SME เนี่ยความท้าทาย
SME, what is the challenge in sustainability development?
ความท้าทายของ SME ใช่ไหม
The challenge for SME
ให้
is
เข้ากับ
how we can
ธุรกิจต่างทรัพยากรที่มีอยู่
adapt to
ทรัพยากร
within the limitation.
คือ
I mean resources and your money and your
วันนี้เนี่ยเราทำเรื่อง sustainability
today when we do sustainability
เราไม่ได้ใช้เงินเพราะว่า
we don't use much money because it's in your process already. But actually, in order to have better innovations to compete with others, the first challenge is cost for development for you to be able to compete. And next is the change in energy cost. Now it's very volatile, and I'm not sure if it's just our country, but I think the severity of the volatility doesn't seem to end soon, and the transition of the fossil fuel and to alternative energy power. I think these factors are what SME has to put importance on and try to seek the second choice, find plan B, and this is gonna be really challenging. And next is regulation. That is gonna impact SME. The regulation from the government sector normally will create cost and normally wouldn't incentivize SME to follow through. But incentive will come anyway if in the law soon we have carbon tax. If some company see opportunity, we will have carbon credit provided and use this to sell and can create profit. And you can expand on the business about alternative energy to get carbon credit to trade in the market. We are still voluntary market and not mandatory yet. So what we can do today, we should do less to create more. I think that's the most suitable solution for SME. This is another question from with the support from government sector in transportation business. Do we have any support from government sector if we reduce the combustion vehicles? The support from the government sector clearly I can see now is the greenhouse gas management organization under government sector. They support, they encourage the entrepreneurs to join T-World trading project for credit carbon credit. For those who use combustion vehicle that change to EV, you can trade as carbon credit and resell it. That's the incentive program from government sector. But other incentivized we haven't seen yet. Another question. ESG in action. Do you have data incentive and the benefit that entrepreneur will take action? What are the benefit from the government? I have to say this. In order to do ESG, the first thing that you have to prove is that the result from the reduction of energy consumption and resources in your business operation, your cost must reduce, right? The first thing that you have to assess or evaluate is that after you do ESG, if the cost increase or alternative energy, if you still have higher costs and management in to reduce, so that the cost reduce but efficient increase or the same amount. This is the first indicator of business. And in many companies, when they talk about cost management, they will talk about how they can maximize the resources. That's how circular economy comes into play. And the government, with their measures, as long as we haven't enact an act on carbon tax, we cannot see a clear picture, but in the future soon for sure. คุณ can you unmute your mic? Okay, so that คุณยศ answer to all of theคุณยศ still with us after. If you have further questions, you can still ask, but now another speaker is ready to give us information after คุณยศ Thank you very much คุณยศ for today and very useful information and your time. Thank you very much. Next is the next guest speaker, a real entrepreneur in ESG and
เรื่องของแนวโน้มนะครับการ
And she will talk about the ESG trends and how to obtain the carbon credit and how to use the platform for this. And please welcome Ms. Natchaler Hatsasin, co-founder and CEO of Sea Wallet. She will be talking about the ESG trend and also the benefits and opportunities for businesses from adopting the ESG factors into their operations. And how do businesses start to adopt these factors? Right now, Kunat is with us. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so ready. Welcome, Kunat, with us. Yeah, are you staying with us? So I would like to share my slides. So can you see my slide? So please inform me. Okay, so everyone can see my slides, right? Okay, so can you hear me? Is it loud and clear? My name is Nat or Natchaler Hatsasin, co-founder and CEO of Sea Wallet. Sea Wallet is a startup that developed the how to manage the carbon footprint of organizations. So if we change our way of thinking and our principles, this is how we develop our business sustainably, just like Yot said. And for me, what the inspiration of the Sea Wallet, we are interested in this field because we think that we would like to develop and make the impact on the environment to make it more concrete. And businesses are more interested in how to manage the carbon footprint, and they don't know how to start it, where to start, and they have to do a lot of understanding, so they feel it's quite difficult. So these are questions that businesses are asking and me too. So that's why we developed the platform so that the corporates can estimate their carbon footprint and they without doing too much understanding or dig deep into the detail, and they can use the data from this platform to manage their carbon footprint effectively and really manage their carbon footprint. And here's our agenda. There are 3 parts altogether. Some part might be overlapping with Kun Yot presentation, so I would like to add on that. And the first one is the ESG trends, and the second part is the benefit and opportunities for business after adopting the ESG factors into the operation, and the third one is how they adapt themselves into ESG world. And the first one, ESG trend. So I would like to talk about the background first. There are some keywords here. You have heard maybe several times. but I want to make a mutual understanding here. Actually, it's a framework that make the corporates that can develop themselves sustainably. So we have to look at the three dimensions: the first, environmental; second, social; and the last one, governance. And in terms of environment, so we consider and be responsible in terms of environment to look at the climate change and to reduce the carbon footprint and to define the corporate policy leading to the net zero emission. And social is to consider the employees, suppliers, and everyone in the supply chain. So this is one arm of the ESG. And in this arm, and it also included equalities, gender equalities. And the last one dimension, governance, is about the traceability and the transparency in order to build the credibility among investors. And for the SET, we also have the one report policy that is to declare the financial and non-financial data altogether in one report. So this also includes the environmental data, or our carbon footprint has to be declared here. And what I would like to share today, we will focus in the arm of environmental arm. Net zero. This word, I think everyone here have heard it before. So you might be familiar with it. So do you know any companies with the net zero emission policy? Or it can be your company. Do you know any name? You can give me some names. So you can type the companies in the chat box. So please give me some names. There's no right or wrong. Please answer. Then in the middle of the presentation, I will tell you the names I have in my mind. Fundamentally, net zero concept. Excuse me, the signal from Miss Nat is not quite clear. And this is how we try to protect our environment. Or as a plant, we have built a spare part and we release the carbon footprint. And once we can reduce it, and this is how we keep the balance of the environment. And here's the picture. On your left is the picture of a plant. Whatever we do, the production, manufacturing, or distribution to the end users or waste disposal. So every action creates carbon footprint. And on your right, if we can reduce the carbon footprint by afforestation or do the carbon capture in order to remove the GHG. So if you do the carbon sequestration to make it equal to on your left. So this is how we keep the balance, leading to the net zero emission. And this picture is the picture that all corporates are dreaming of. It is to do the carbon neutrality. Because every action creates carbon footprint, but we try to limit it, not trying to create more. And if we cannot limit it, how can we offset it? That is to buy the credit to offset it, or for the net zero, we have to adopt more technologies in order to remove the carbon to make it lower, to offset it, to make it zero. And here, the trend, ESG trend. And here is the report from MSCI, is the index. Is a credible index provider. Next trend is corporates will push corporates for net zero supply chains. So this is the importance of supply chain. When our suppliers announce that they want to become a net zero corporate, so we are kind of having a pressure to do the net zero emission too. And here's an example of the cloud industry like Microsoft, Alphabet, Google, and others, and Alibaba. So they join hands and declare that they want to be the net zero, self-declare. So all the suppliers has to reduce their carbon footprint as well. And this account for 60% of the cloud industry. So the cloud industry must be net zero automatically. So it's like a domino effect because big corporates are trying to define the policy, so their suppliers and vendors under them have to comply with the policies of these companies. And automobile industry here is very clear here. Several brands are defining policy for net zero emission, like Volvo, BM, Mini, Stellantis. In the next 7 years, 2030, they will reduce carbon print by 30%. And other companies as well, they also have the policies in different years, effective in different years, and they have different metrics to calculate. It's science-based target. And as a supplier, you have to do something about it because you are a supplier for them and they want to be the net zero, so we have to become net zero first. So you might have some name in mind when I ask the question. So the companies that mention about the net zero. So here in Thailand, these are the names: Thai Bev, Thai Union, Big Grim, and many more that I have mentioned or stated here. That I have put a logo here in this slide. So here are just some examples of the big corporates that already define the net zero emission policy. And every road, not just this, more than this, every road leads to net zero emission. Our target, the main target, that is 2015, we must become net zero corporates or carbon neutrality society. Net zero, as I mentioned earlier, that is how we create balance between the emission and removal. But carbon neutrality is another keyword. Carbon neutrality is a midway target. It's just like along the way. What we can do without too much investment like forestation. So because they allow us to buy carbon credits in order to offset before we reaching the end target. So that's how. What is the to buy target? That is to you support the kind of forestation projects and you support them and buy carbon credit from them. So to make ourselves carbon neutral. So this is the mid target for several corporates. And for the net zero, we when we are driving, we are driving to Chiang Mai province. The goal, but midway along the way, you might have some stops before reaching the end. So it means that we have to buy the credits from someone else, and so you have to know your potential before you reach the end too. So you have to assess your carbon footprint first. That's why it is important. So you have to know where to start. It starts from yourself. Someone might start from, for example, in Bangkok, or because actually every corporate has different starting point. So you have to know yours first, and the speed that you gonna do it is different too. So as a supplier, of course, these big corporates announce that they're gonna be net zero. You have to become net zero before them. You know this road. You know that the end of this road is the net zero goal. So you have to meet each other along the way too. So you have to speed it up in order to reduce your carbon footprint. Otherwise, it's possible that competitors will overcome you if they have adapted the business operation with the same products as you are, but they are faster. So the competitors might overcome you. They will sell more than you. If you have a lot of carbon footprint, so actually it will become a burden for big corporations. And here's the carbon footprint of organization. And as a supplier, So where are we? Here. So here's a big picture of the ESG emission. Actually, there are three scopes. The first scope is the direct emission, or is about production, and the scope 2 is the electric or indirect emission, and the third one, that is the other indirect, that's for the supplier, is in the scope 3. If you supply something for the company, so you will be included in the scope 3 as a supplier. You will be there if you have a high carbon footprint, so it will affect the number of carbon footprint of the companies that you supply to. So you have to reduce yours first. And here's our examples. First, Apple, they announced that they want to be carbon neutral by 2030. And from their carbon footprint assessment, they see that their own carbon footprint, mostly from suppliers, around 70% from suppliers. So they have to define or set a policy for their suppliers to comply with, to reduce their carbon footprint by use clean energy, switch to clean energy. So these 200 suppliers, they are using clean energy even before Apple will become carbon neutral. So this is quite tricky. It's difficult because you are a small entity, but you have to go faster than the big corporates. And Unilever is another example. They have assessed their own carbon footprint as well. And from 1,600 representative products, and 70% of them are from supply chain, from sourcing raw materials, from manufacture, transport, and others. So these account for. So Unilever set a policy for vendors to reduce their own carbon footprint, and 68 here. The rest is from consumer use. When they use the Unilever products to calculate it, you have to start calculate and look from the production and until the consumption by the end users, and how to dispose it. So you have to consider all from the start to the end. How carbon footprint comes from. Just like when you wash clothes, you use the detergents and these chemicals. After you wash your clothes, these detergents will go into the sewage pond, and this harm the environment. So that's how the carbon footprint comes from. So Unilever has initiated ideas with new products like tissue cleansing wipes, the biodegradable cleansing wipes. When we use in the forest, it dropped on the ground, it can degrade over time. And or the detergent is a plant-based detergent. When we use it to clean anything, when it goes to the sewage pond, and it won't create any pollution there. And for its packaging, Unilever started to use the 100% recycled material. If you supplied for these big corporates, you see a clear direction where they are going to. If you can move faster than them, so you can get more benefit, you have more sales opportunity, and you can charge them higher with these ideas. And for Mercedes-Benz, also has its own policy to change its own car to make it more sustainable via better production from the combustion car into the EV car. they adopting the circular economy idea and they adjust all the production process to make it neutral. And this is one example from Mercedes-Benz. They use the used material in order to do the seating. They use the recycled plastic to do it, and you switch from virgin plastic into something else, into an innovative floor covering. And another trend which is interesting, Kun Yot has mentioned earlier, is about the carbon tax. Has entered into effect in small countries, but it start expanding. Like in Singapore, you have to report the carbon footprint by this October this year. Is occurring faster and it will getting expand more and more, and the carbon tax will become higher. So it's a non-tariff barrier. Even though you are not in the countries, these 21 countries, 27 that they start collecting the carbon tax. But when we export products from Thailand to Europe, and you have to pay tax for them, and in Thailand, so we are not. So Thailand won't be the one who pay tax for them. So in the future, it's possible that when they export things to Thailand, so we have to collect tax from them too. So both parties will have the burdens all the same. So this is one of the non-tariff barriers. So it's come for sure, and not just only 27 countries. And here's one of the examples of the parties that have to pay interest in carbon tax. 5 industries, namely. So this is diagram from the SET. The carbon tax that is CBAM, or carbon border adjustment mechanism. So if we want to export to the CBAM country, so they will check first how many carbon footprints do we have, and you have to declare them. And if you declare, for example, 100 tons, you declare the unit is ton. For example, you export something 1,000 units and created 1,000 tons of carbon. So they will charge you for those 1,000 tons of CO2e. It might be $99 dollars per ton. You have to pay that, and after that, they can't bring your products in the country. The point is, if we don't calculate our own carbon footprint, so they will apply another rate. They will use the highest rate on us. Like in Thailand, you might produce a product. The carbon footprint that we create might not as high as India, or maybe in the lower tier. But if we don't have any data to declare to them, they will charge us with the highest rate if we don't have the evidence to declare. So that's why it's important that we have to pay attention and calculate our own carbon footprint. And the first industry to got affected is the cement, fertilizer, aluminium, cement, iron and steel, and it's going to expand to the petroleum and the chemicals, hydrogen, ammonia, and polymer. That will be the next lot that will be charge of carbon tax. And here are 2 trends for the supply chains and the carbon tax. And next will be the benefit and opportunities for businesses after adopting the ESG factors into the operations. When we consider ESG factors when doing our business, just like Kun Yot mentioned earlier, when we adopt the ESG factors, that is to reduce the cost, because we know that our weaknesses are and where we can improve, where we can manage better to reduce the cost, to minimize. And here's the idea. First, to calculate our own carbon footprint, you will know our hotspot, which part that produce the carbon footprint the most. Maybe you will have top 5, and after that, there are several metrics for you. On your left, that is to do the so if you adjust, actually there will be some parts that you adjust that have reduced the cost, and there will be somewhere that you adjust and increase the cost. So the easiest one is to focus on the one that can reduce the cost. So you just tap that one first. The 4 parts. First one, that is to switch to renewable energy sources and to improve energy efficiency. Third part, and for example, the air conditioner. There are some technologies in the future that you don't have to use the chemical, because the AC emitted the carbon quite a lot. So there are other technologies for you to choose from, and you use the renewable energy. Of course, you pay less for the electricity bill. And the third one, public transportation. If you can switch to the public transportation, or maybe you provide a car, a van for your employees, or maybe you use to solar energy or EV. This can help reduce carbon footprint. And the last one is to recycle or upcycle the post-consumption waste, and to improve your materials. There's some cost. In order to if you want to know whether to change your material or not, you have to assess, and there's a metric called abatement cost. This will help you plan if you want to make a transition into your corporate to make it greener. So you will see that which cost that you can tap first, where is the hotspot. Just like use less investment but get more in return. So you have to find the spot first. So you will use these metrics, abatement cost, to help you to assess your company where to tap first. It's a bit technical. This is how you can reduce your carbon footprint. I just raised an example, just an example of the metrics, how to calculate. And for the opportunities, from the survey, 81% of ASEAN are willing to pay more expensive products if they are eco-friendly. So if you can provide this kind of offerings, you can generate a new revenue stream. You can maybe just develop a new premium product to serve this target, this segment. And here's examples in our daily life. Actually, every business, everyone has a sustainability to tell, but you have to tell it right, tell your story right, and you have to know that some of your aspect how you live is a sustainability. It might be overlapping with Kun Yot's case, the Starbucks. If you run a coffee shop, you know that if you know how to sorting your waste, this one of the ESG. So there are many aspects of your company or business to tell about, or the menu. plant-based menu or the tumbler. If the consumers brings their own tumblers, they can buy at a cheaper price. So this also included in ESG approach or how they source the seeds from the eco-friendly forestation, eco-friendly plantation. So you have to know the right source and how to manage your waste and which part can be recyclable, and the furniture, eco-friendly furniture. Just like me and Kun Yot, when we enter in Starbucks, we will see the logo on the table. So next time when you go there, just take a look at that. On the table, it's written there on the furniture are made from 100% recycled material. That's a part of the ESG in your business, and you can just pick some of ESG aspect to tell your consumers. And another example. So here's the pen. This pen is 100% biodegradable and made of eggshell collected from custard factories. They use only the egg inside and they throw away the eggshell. So instead of dispose it elsewhere, so they turn it into pens, and this is how they generate income from it, the new revenue stream. So if you can change something in your company, you just have to find it out. So look at your waste, which part of it that you can make it into the ESG aspect, and consumers are willing to pay more for this. And you also gain the sustainability. And for the hotel business, you might have heard or might have stayed at the Potato Head. Is a hotel with a restaurant. It's a famous one in Bali, Indonesia. They used bottles from restaurants and also glass bottles. They collect them in the waste center and put them into some process to clean and to cut into small pieces and blow them. And they use this material in to new product. Use it to make souvenirs, like the carpet, make the strings or parts of shoes. They are all made from the waste. And at the beach, in the front of the hotel, there are bins. So people are walking on the beach. If they find any waste, they can throw those garbage in these bins, and they will use this waste to produce something else. And here, as you see on the screen, these products, this packaging, they also provide a workshop for families who stay at the hotel for the children, because they might need some activity, recreational activity. So the guests can pay and join this activity to turn this waste into a new product. So this is how we upcycle the materials, the waste, turn them into products, and you also gain income from the workshop fee, and the guests will have their own souvenirs. So this is how we adopting the ESG principle into business. And where are we going to? So you might see new buildings. Have you ever seen the banner like this? something written about the environment because right now they are trying to show their performance, ESG performance. That is how they declare the transparency, how they help the community to make the community see, to make their consumer see, or even investor to show them that they have a good management and transparency. The new buildings, so you can see these banners, or maybe the LED screen to show the figures, how they can reduce the carbon footprint, the healthy and safety measures, how they manage for their employees to show that they have the good safety measures. So they will provide all these information in front of their project, in front of their sites. If you are in the real estate industry, construction industry, so you are familiar with this LEED building. Sustainability is important for this industry, whether it be the materials used like the cement, how to dispose, how to manage the carbon footprint from the construction industry, mostly from the garbage, how they source the materials, and how they design the building to use energy better. Everything is used to calculate the carbon footprint. So this is in front of the Ministry of Affairs. So they show you the comparison if they use the old way of construction and if they use a new way, how they can make the change. They are showing this, how they can reduce the carbon footprint, and they make a comparison at how many trees they can save, or how it equivalent to trees, number of trees. So you can apply things to fit your companies because there are a lot of aspects to play with. Or like in hotels, when you book a hotel in booking.com or agoda.com, so you can see the message here to tell that they are travel sustainable. And in Thailand, I must say that it is not quite a lot doing this. But if you can tap into the carbon footprint calculation, if you can make it faster, you will have more opportunity. You will have the better competitiveness. And as far as I have seen, it's only 700 hotels that receive these sustainable banners. It's quite interesting. If you can show this data to our consumers, our guests. So from the examples, you can see that ESG is playing an important role in many ways in designing products and managing products and services. And in hotels, if you can manage to make it more sustainable, it will give you benefits in many ways. It helps you reduce the cost and reduce the impact on the environment, and also help you create an innovative business model, and you can also increase your price. And next, and how business adapt themselves to ESG. So this is important one. So many might be interested in ESG, but how to start? So let's see. So there will be 3 parts. In order to start, the first one, you have to know your carbon emission, your company, your products. How many carbon footprints have you created, and where the most? And next, after you know your carbon footprint, and you set the targets, how to reduce them. And the last one, after you set the targets, you find a way to deal with it. So there are so many solutions. The first step, to know your carbon emissions or your carbon footprint. So you have to establish organizational boundary, and you have to set your objectives, because it's you have to separate between the organization and the product. You have to do want to do at an organizational level or just a product level. So from my experience, I would suggest that you do at an organizational level. It's easier. If you haven't done it before, I will suggest organizational level because it's broader. Because there are 3 scopes for organization. For supply chain, as I said, that is in the scope 3. But as of now, they kind of have the transition period. This data, if you have do the calculation, you will have your own data. But in the future, if you have to expand it to cover our suppliers, like how they source the cement or the power line, where do this raw material comes from, it's getting more difficult because you have to ask for the data from every suppliers. So if you want me to suggest, actually you want you to do at the organizational level, it will be difficult if you are a chain or a kind of a group. So you start from the small one first and then expand. And next step, to do the carbon accounting or to collect the data. In order to do this, actually each industry has different way to collect the data. For example, if you are office building, you will have the carbon footprint from your paper used inside the building, from your printing, or in the factory. The carbon footprint will come from the coal generator, from machines. So you have to collect all the data you can find and turn into the carbon footprint figures. And after you got the figures, so you can set your goal after that. Without the figures, you cannot do anything else. Once you have the figures, you can, in the first year, once you have the figures from the first year, it's called baseline, or we call it base year. The first year that we calculate, so we call it base year. So in order to set a target or goals, you have to know your potential, that each year, how much you are willing already to reduce. If you look at SBPI, the metrics, there are 3 terms, long-term, mid-term, and near-term. Long-term, that is to become net zero. And mid-term, that is to be carbon neutral. Carbon neutral, as I mentioned earlier, that is to, we are allowed to buy carbon credit to offset for a while. But how many to buy, you have to calculate too. You have to know your carbon footprint, so you will know that how much you have to buy. And near term, that is to define your goals of reduction. For example, in automobile industry, like in 2023, they will reduce by 30%. So you have to know your scope, how much you can do it. And the nearest term, if you look at the graph here, at the blue line here that touched 40. So from the base year, so from this diagram, you can see 2010 on the left at the very start is base year. The base year, according to the principle, when you want to calculate it, every business is growing, expanding. So you want your business to grow, right? But in order to grow, of course, you have to create more carbon footprint. So the objective is to how to grow without more carbon footprint. So this is how you set your baseline. But actually, in the next few years, of course, the carbon footprint will increase after the baseline. But after that, you have to limit that. You can see 2020 is lowering. First thing you have to do is to limit them, not to increase them. So you have to apply some strategies to reduce. And if you think that you can lean and you cannot reduce no more, you just buy the carbon credit from elsewhere to offset it to the zero. So actually, carbon credit actually is another option, is the plan B. But first, you have to use the technology first to reduce to zero by yourself, so that you don't have to buy credit from elsewhere. And until now, many start to see that to apply the ESG factor is not about the CSR. Actually, it's not quite relevant to each other, because ESG is to reduce cost, but to do the afforestation, that one is not measurable. It cannot be calculated. So if you look at the calculation methodology, so you see all the factors in order to calculate. They have a specific metrics and principle. So after you set the targets and goals, and then you will develop scenarios where to tap first or later, and you have to consider its magnitude. So, for example, if you are running business hotel, there are little production, but they are more on the electricity bills, AC bills. So what you can do is to find, or maybe you look at with less carbon intensive electric appliances. So you start from the one with highest magnitude and then go to the lower ones. And another tool to help you plan. So after you look at the magnitude or the size or scale, so you set the priorities where to tap first, and then you look at the cost. So you will use the abatement cost strategy, where to reduce first and where to reduce and get higher return, better return. So your plan start clearer. So where to tap, how much investments. Actually, you can see all these figures on the paper. And this is an example how to set the targets and abatement cost. So you can see that on your see from the left what you can do and use less money and get higher return. That is to reduce more high carbon footprint. On your left is steel. The magnitude. If you have steel magnitude or aluminum, a lot here on your left. If you see that if you tackle this one first, you can see this, that you can see that negative 300 here. So this is the vertical one is the cost. So if you can tap these two first, steel and aluminum, so you can reduce the cost, and you can reduce a lot of carbon footprint. So this is how you apply the metrics to reduce your company's footprint. And after you set the target, so you know your priorities and how much money you're gonna use. And next, how to remove the carbon. The The first one, you have to know where to avoid transportations. So if you can avoid, just avoid first. And next, do the plan to reduce. And next step is to substitute. The third one, to substitute, like to switch to the clean energy and produce the electricity from the biogas or use solar power. And the last one, that is to offset, the last option. This is the midterm plan where you can lean, but where you cannot lean anymore, you can offset it by buying credits from others that they are doing forestrations or from somewhere else that they have carbon credits. So you can buy from them to offset yours. So this is the midterm plan. But all in all, in the end, you must not forget that where you want to go. You want to be, you go to the net zero. So to buy the carbon credit will help you temporarily, but in the end, you have to find technologies to improve yourself. So today, that will be all from today. So if you have any questions, you can type in the chat box right away. If I'm not clear, you can ask for more information. Thank you very much, Kun Nat. So you have raised examples from the big picture down to the small business. And you also provide us guidelines and where to start, how to start. So I believe that there will be many more questions in the chat box. Or if you want to talk to the speakers in person, I will unmute your microphone so that you can talk freely. So first question. So which size of the enterprise that need to pay attention to this and how to invest into the ESG? So as I mentioned about the trends, the business that had to pay attention. So you have to know if you are an export business or not. Because if you export something, yes, you have to start it. And the second group, your buyers that you supply products to. Your buyers have they defined any net zero policy? If they have a policy on this, so of course in the future they have to force us to do something about it to reduce the carbon footprint, to do the calculation. Of course they will force us soon, sure. And if you are slow, so you are at risk that they will switch to other suppliers. So these two groups of businesses that are at risk, you have to be fast to do the ESG and how to allocate the costs for these. You can search for the metrics for abatement cost. It will help you assess where to tap first. So, and it will help you compare the cost and what is important that you have to see all the magnitudes. So you see where to tap first. It's just like you have to take the right medicine to cure. For example, like a food and beverage business, if it creates carbon footprints from the waste, if you use the solar rooftop project, so it won't help in that kind of businesses. But you might pay attention to the plastic sourcings, which is used to produce packaging. Switch to the recycled plastic or something. I think that this will help more. So you have to tackle to the pain point. And for the family business, how can we change the mindsets of people involved? Because there will be some different gaps of generations. So this is quite a challenge. for family businesses, actually, I have a friend who started a startup. Actually, an extended arm from the family business is a plastic business. But what my friend is facing is that she's supplying plastic to a big factory, and that factory has launched a policy that next year is not gonna use the virgin plastic. They ask suppliers to change its production, this type of plastic, 30%. It must be recyclable, and they will continue doing business with the supplier. But if the supplier cannot comply with this new policy, they will think of not renewing the contract. So my friend is starting to think about it because it starts to affect the business. But if it's a family business, so you have to know your vendor, buyers, suppliers, and the impact and the trends. Excuse me, the signal is lost.
แล้วนะคะตรงนี้เราอาจจะเอาเป็นข้อมูลเนี่ยกลับไปให้ทางครอบครัวของเราพิจารณาดู
So you have to gather all the data and present it to your family to show them that there's still regulations to comply with and the opportunities as well. And the next question is, can you share the assessment form or the calculation metrics? Carbon calculation metrics, the locally in Thailand, we have download the Excel sheet to calculate to see our carbon footprint. And Sea-Wallet, we also have provided our own platform to help you calculate. We have the template for each industry. If you come from a specific industry, you can choose a specific platform to calculate. And it will tell you that where you have to gather all the data to put in the form. And to get the result, you can visit our website and register, or you can send the email for me. So I will give you the assistance. So it's the one service platform. So it's very convenient for everyone, this application. IEC is a carbon offset or not? Which one? REC. Yes. Yes. So there are a lot of questions about the carbon footprint. So I think that there are many exporters here. I would like to have the training SPTI more. So it will take me 1 more hour to talk about this because we have to dig deep into that. Because the scope of the organizations and the scope of SMEs are different scopes, and they have different the calculation methodology. How to offset the carbon, because there's a rule. Actually they have different ratios. It's not 100%. Just like 60,000 tons, they have different way of calculation. You cannot offset by the credit for the 60,000 of the carbon. So they will tell you exactly which item you can offset or which item you cannot offset. So there are a lot of little details. So next question is a questions for Kun Yot. So Kun Yot is very helpful by answering in the chat box by himself. Also, building a house for the underprivileged. So I would like to seek your advice. Okay, so I will answer right now. So I would like to tell you 2 parts. The first one, so if you are entrepreneur in real estate,
or LPM
มานะครับในเรื่องของ
so
การสร้างอาชีพเนี่ยว่าในธุรกิจของเขาเนี่ยตั้งแต่ต้น
so you have to know from the upstream to downstream so how what type of personnel that included in their business like housemates or whatever they will give this group of people the career
ทำอยู่ไม่กี่ไซต์นะครับก็จะมีกลุ่มสตรีเปราะบางเขาเรียกว่ากลุ่มสตรีเปราะบางนะครับส่วนใหญ่ก็จะ
there are kind of
ที่หนึ่งคืออาจจะ
first group is housemaid
หรือว่าอาจจะเป็น
like
โทษอะไรอย่างเงี้ยครับใหม่ๆแล้วไม่มีอาชีพ
for the ones like a single mom or anyone who just came out from the prison so they would provide this group of people the training sessions
แล้วก็ยังดำรงตัววัตถุประสงค์ของตัวบริษัทก็คือช่วยเหลือกลุ่มสตรีนะครับที่ด้อยโอกาส
this is how they help the underprivileged women
หรือว่าไม่มีงานทำเนี่ยครับ
the jobless women they will help these people to get a career
อาชีพนี้อย่างเดียวนะครับแล้วก็ไม่ใช่แค่อุตสาหกรรมนี้อย่างเดียวจริงๆใน
but not just only in this industry but in every industry we can provide careers for the vulnerable and underprivileged it's up to the expertise you have the expertise that you can create the productivity not just real estate industry another industry like the jewelry industry they hire the hearing disabled people to help because in order to cut the gems it is a loud environment right so they hire these hearing disabled people and the productivity increases so these people is a strong a key driver for gem business so I would like to share briefly for foreign businesses you can see that
ก็มีการทำคล้ายๆกับคำถามที่คุณสุรีถาม
just likeคุณสุรี asked
แล้วถ้าเกิดสมมุติว่าเป็นเดี๋ยวสักครู่นะครับ
excuse me the signal is not quite clear
เห็นยังครับ
can you see the slides
ถ้าเป็นอุตสาหกรรมนะครับเข้าใจว่าน่าจะเห็นภาพชัดแล้วถ้าเป็นอุตสาหกรรม
also at the industrial level I think you will have a clear picture on and you say that is the house building for the vulnerable they build houses for the underprivileged who cannot access to the quality housing they build houses and also provide them careers so they give the positive impact which is measurable and the business model that is to buy the old house at a low prices and hire people local people they don't use their own technician or their own builders and they hire local people and train them to refurbish the houses and resell these houses for the people to the homeless so actually the process or the underprivileged can pay in installment but actually they do if the local people don't have the skills so they will provide the exact skills they need so they teach them how to refurbish the houses in their communities so right now they are providing houses for 36,000 households so far in 140 areas and for 812 families to have where to live in so they help them generate income and value not just the income of the company but is to add value to the society equivalent to 2 million pounds 2 billion pounds excuse me
So this is one of the case studies that you can measure the social impact. We can apply something similar to this, or maybe just use one angle from them and make a measurable results. You have to measure your returns from your investment after the social impact. Apart from the social impact, how it can increase the business value. So this is the examples I would like to tell you. So it's very clear. And social enterprise has a new format, has a new model. People coming up with the new ideas, which give the social impact. And this question for Kunat, carbon footprint organization. I would like to talk about this slide. I would like to add more. I would like you to add more details. The carbon footprint of organization and target potential. The carbon footprint of organization, there are three types. The first one, the production. Production includes everything inside the fence of the organization. Like employees commute to the company to make product or service, or the executives travel to seminars elsewhere. So this is counted as carbon footprint, or gas or biogas used for combustion, everything that you produced to make a product or service is included in the scope 1, or you can call it upstream. Everything, all activities from the upstream is the scope 1. The scope 2 just only electricity only, and the scope 3 is downstream activities, like how you source your materials for production, like you have to source like the plastic from suppliers, or the steel is all included in the scope 3, or the distribution or the logistic to for products. This is included in scope 3 too, but there's one challenge. If you carry a product to sell, is counted as scope 3. But if you carry a commodity for production, is included in scope 1. And how to set target, is science-based target. The details, actually there are a lot of details. So I think that it should be another session. So it's about 4 p.m. I have to thank all the speakers, the 2 speakers who provide the knowledge for the TSEN members and entrepreneurs who registers for the session. I would like to thank Mr. Supachai Ekachai Paiboon, the first Deputy Vice President from the SET, and Ms. Nacha Lerthatasin, co-founder and CEO of C-Wallet, for providing so many knowledge for us. So please stay here, and I would like you to turn on the camera. So next we will provide the courses that will help everyone in the future. So I would like to take picture of everyone, so please turn on your cameras. And after taking pictures, so we would like to ask you to do the survey to see your satisfaction. If you have any comments, you can and if you for the first 30 person who submit the survey, we will have the souvenir for you sent to your home. So we have just only 30 souvenirs for the first 30 person who submit the survey. So please turn on your camera so that we can take pictures together.
ข้อมูลอะไรกันบ้างนะฮะ
So
แลกเปลี่ยนกันได้บางท่านนี่โอ้โห
what have you learned from
ตั้งใจ
this
ฟังมากนะครับ
seminar?
ทำงานด้วยบางท่านยังอยู่ในรถก็ฟัง
So somebody is still driving and listening to our seminar alongside. I hope that this will be beneficial for you in many ways and through the surveys. And we will. So okay, please mind everyone that. So I have to thank you very much. So here's the QR code for you to submit your satisfaction survey. You can use your mobile phone to scan it. If you don't, or you can capture the screen and send it to your mobile phone to scan to submit the survey. So if you are attending a so you can cap from the screen.
ตอนนี้หลายท่านเริ่มตอบแบบสอบถามแล้วนะครับ30ท่านแรก
So the first 30 persons will receive the souvenir from TCSCN, sending right to you, or you don't have to travel to get it. So we are trying to make it more convenient. So some ask, do we have the link for the survey? Okay, we will provide it. But right now you can scan the QR code first.
ท่านก็บอกว่ากล้องเสียขออภัยนะครับขอบคุณมากๆนะครับ
So some said that they have to apologize that the camera is not functioning. So Kun Nat has just shared a link for anyone who is interested in the C wallet. So you can visit the website.
ก็ถือว่าคำถามที่มาอาจจะมองว่าก่อนหน้านี้การประเมินเนี่ยมันอาจจะยุ่งยากวุ่นวายหรือเปล่าต้องมีระบบการคำนวณอะไรที่ยุ่งยากหรือเปล่านี่ระบบของ Cibolet อันนี้ช่วยบอก
So someone might be afraid of the calculation methodology, so you can choose the C wallet. It's more convenient for you to calculate your carbon footprint.
แล้วก็งานสัมมนาครั้งนี้
And this seminar, I believe that many of you will receive knowledge. I think that someone don't just before entering the session they just didn't know where to start, but after this session I believe that they will have a clearer picture how to apply ESG to their businesses from the case studies. Just like the pen, the eggshell turned into a pen. One interesting case. Or Starbucks. So the coffee shop business, how to add value to it and also obtain the sustainability. Okay, here the survey link is in the chat box. You can click right now. So if you cannot scan the QR code on the screen, you can submit the survey via link in the chat box.
ตอนนี้เองเนี่ยก็ถือว่าหลังจากแชทเสร็จแล้วช่องแชทตรงนี้เองนะฮะที่มีการประเมินกันเสร็จแล้วเนี่ยหลายท่านก็บอกว่าแหมสไลด์ในรายการวันนี้น่าสนใจมากๆเลยตั้งแต่
Some say that the presentations are very interesting, just like Kun Yot saying how to the trends and how to adapt and the stock exchange of Thailand. So at the end we will provide you the slides and also the slides from Kunat. And here's another QR code. The materials from the seminar you can download here. So another QR code for you.
เสวนานะครับที่เกิดขึ้นในวันนี้ไม่ว่าจะเป็นของทางคุณยศนะฮะรวมถึงทาง
So you can see the
ที่ถือว่า
presentation of Kun Yot and Kunat. So after attending
by yourself here.
อันนี้มาเป็นสไลด์เลยสามารถดาวน์โหลดกันได้ทีมงานบอกว่า
So you can download the materials here.
ในวันพรุ่งนี้ตั้งแต่ช่วงหลัง
Tomorrow,
แก่ๆเป็นต้นไปนะฮะยังไง
tomorrow, in the late afternoon, you can download all the materials
ก็จะมี
in the
สไลด์นะครับ
thailandsupplychain.com.
นัดฝากไว้นะฮะ
So you can see both
ตอนนี้
presentations
เอง
from
เนี่ยก็
คุณ
ถื
ย
อ
ศ
ว่า
and คุณนัท
หลายๆท่านน่าจะมีการประเมินแล้วนะฮะแต่ว่ายังสามารถที่จะเข้ามาประเมินกันต่อได้นะฮะตรงนี้เองเนี่ยก่อนจะลากันไปนะครับทิ้งกัน
So
อีกครั้ง
before we say goodbye,
QR code การประเมิน
this
วันนี้กลับมาที่ช่อง
QR code for the satisfaction survey
ไปประเมินก็
here.
ได้นะครับหรือว่าใครที่สแกน QR code เมื่อสักครู่นี้ไม่ทันนะครับ
If you cannot scan the QR code,
ได้อยู่นะฮะ
and for the slides, you can download from the website in the late afternoon tomorrow.
ข้อมูลการบรรยายย้อนหลังบางคนดูบ้างเป็นบางช่วงผมเชื่อว่าวันนี้เนี่ย
I believe that many are working while listening to our seminar. So you can watch the rerun video clip during weekends. The video link will be placed in the afternoon tomorrow too.
ก็ถือว่าทุกท่านน่าจะได้ประโยชน์นะครับหลายๆท่านมีส่งข้อความกันมาด้วยบอกว่าขอบคุณมากๆนะครับ
So there are many messengers in the chat box. They thank the speakers for all the knowledge they provided.
ก็คุณยศก็ได้กรุณาตอบ
And คุณยศ is trying to answer in the chat box one by one.
สดหรือว่าการพิมพ์ตอบนะฮะหลายๆท่านถามเรื่องวิดีโอนะครับฟังย้อนหลังได้
And many are asking for the
network เลย
clip.
นะครับจะอัพพร้อมๆกับทางตัว
You can download it at the Thailand Supply Chain Network website.
นะฮะขอบคุณมากๆเนื้อหาสาระดีๆนะครับขอบคุณมากเช่นกันนะครับอันนี้คุณต้นตะการนะครับคุณพิเชษฐ์เนื้อหาดีมากเข้าใจง่ายขอบคุณมากๆเช่นกันนะค
So
รับ
they are showing appreciation
นะครับ
for the speakers
เอาละครับ
in the chat box.
เวลาอันเหมาะสมแล้วนะครับงานเสวนาวันนี้
So I think it's the right time.
ทีมงานไทย Supply Chain Network จัดขึ้นมานะครับเมื่อ
So
ESG
this
ไม่
is
ใช่ทางเลือกแต่เป็นทางรอด
ESG is not an option but a means to survive and thrive sustainably.
เข้ามาร่วมรับฟังกันขอบคุณวิทยากรนะครับและ
So thank you very much for attending. And thank you everyone involved in this event. So we are trying to provide the new sessions for the entrepreneurs and everyone. So I will leave the link and the QR code here so that you can enter.
การดาวน์โหลดสไลด์ในการเสวนานะครับแล้วก็มาถึงช่วงสุดท้ายนะครับวันนี้ผมจิตรกร
And here,
ต้องขอ
so
ลาทุกท่านไปก่อนนะครับ
I and everyone have to say goodbye.
วันนี้ผมและทีมงานขอลาทุกท่านไปก่อนครับ
So we have to say goodbye now.